Alright, so Bant Fall. For those not familiar, this is a card that doesn't see a ton of standard play. Fall of the Thran is a saga that the first chapter destroys all lands in play, so that means Twitch chat automatically loves this card. And then chapters 2 and 3 return 2 lands from the graveyard to the battlefield for each player. So we kind of break the symmetry in a couple ways. The first is that we have Remorseful Cleric here that we can use to exile our opponent's graveyard to get rid of all their lands so they don't get any lands back. Second is that we have mana creatures to make up for the fact that we're missing lands. Third is that with Fall of the Thran, if we precede it with Teferi, we can use Teferi to tuck Fall of the Thran back into our deck. So that way, if we're ahead on board, all of the lands go away and we stay ahead on board. So this is a base green-white deck with a blue splash for Teferi and then some counterspells in the sideboard because counterspells are great. At the risk of lighting my rank on fire, I think we were top 30. I think I'm going to play as one of the rank 2. I think the core of what this deck is doing is very reasonable. I think I'm going to give it a couple of shots to see how things feel. Tobto, thanks for the 13-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. We are 27. And we queued into a diamond-ranked opponent, so I can only assume we're going to lose 200 ranks if we lose this match. I don't know what Release the Winds does. Is it some kind of bad bounce spell? So I don't think I need to put mediocre cards into my deck to make this card better. Between Teferi and Remorseful Cleric, I already have enough ways to make it fine. Our curve's actually pretty good here, huh? We had Elf into kill their Elf, into Cleric, into Teferi, into Fall. Yeah, I think Sultai might be okay for us. If we can just get ahead on board a little bit early and then take their lands away, we should be in a pretty good spot. Impromptu, thank you for the Prime support. I really appreciate that. Hope you're having a good one wherever you're at. Thanks for keeping me employed here. Deal. Ramp it up. Ramp it up.
Hold that thought.
Turn 3 Teferi. Thanks for the ramp. Hey, Vix T. This might make one think I hate money. Well, thank you for the very generous tier 3 sub. I appreciate that. Welcome. Hope you're having a good one wherever you're at. Thanks for keeping me around.
Hurry.
This is actually kind of sweet. So, Teferi. I don't think this is going to let me do it. Oh, good. Sweet. So, Teferi untapped my land, which lets me adapt this. That's awesome. Teferi in this Bant shell is kind of sweet. I don't want to fall quite yet until they hit another land, right? So like fall can just like lock things up for us at the end. Yeah, I want to get way. I mean, we might even win this game without using fall, right? If they don't play lands, casting Armageddon gets a lot worse.
I'm not done yet.
So in response to this, float a mana, untap, adapt. Honor Guard sounds great. Stroke sounds great. Baffling End sounds great. Tithe Taker is a little bit mediocre here. Its extra text box isn't super relevant. Yeah, Cleric is here for its synergy with Fall of the Thran. It also randomly hoses graveyards too, but this exiles their graveyard, so they don't get lands back, and we do. So that's why Cleric is there. Is it crazy to cut History of Benalia? I'm gonna cut History of Benalia. Yeah, this is an ideal matchup for Fall. So this is a matchup where they need all of their lands, and we can get a little bit ahead on board early and then cut them off of being able to catch up. The Sultai deck is good because it has so many catch-up mechanics once it falls behind, and this says, hey, you're not allowed to catch back up. So Fall is bad against aggressive decks, and it's good against control and mid-range, basically, is where it shines. Ajani is good here because it helps us develop a board presence, and notably it returns Tocatli on our guard to play, as well as Remorseful Cleric, which are both meaningful interactive 2-drops. Can we land Thran against control? I think we can in a lot of situations. So we're not playing a do-nothing deck. We're playing an aggressive deck. So against control decks, they're going to need to be tapping out to answer our board. And when they're working on interacting with our board, like our histories and our Teferis and our growth chambers and stuff like that, we can then get them with the Fall. Yeah, Ajani also does synergize well with Incubation Druid and Growth Chamber Guardian by putting 1/1 counters on them. Thief is annoying. Not drawing any spells, also not stellar. Easy block. At least the adapt gives us something to do with our mana. Would love to draw a Planeswalker at this point, whether it be Ajani or Teferi. Either of those would be fine. Is this dead? Why are we doing this during my upkeep? I assume they have some kind of removal spell here for my Incubation Druid, and that's why we're having a long pause. Is there a reason I didn't exile their graveyard during the block? Yeah, I wanted to trade for their Thief of Sanity. If you're a returning Magic player, damage no longer uses the stack. If you're someone who played a long time ago when damage on the stack was a thing, that's no longer a thing. I'm actually going to start holding on to some of these lands, because I don't have any X spells in my deck, and if we draw fall, I want lands to play after we fall. What does damage on the stack refer to? A really old rule in Magic the Gathering that thankfully no longer exists.
You should be proud to have healed.
Probably done here. Take next game on the play.
Wild animals I like. People, not so much.
How did it actually work in the practice of the game? When two creatures would block each other inside of combat, damage would get marked on them, but before it actually got applied, you could sacrifice them to things. So, like, Siege Gang Commander, for instance, is a good example of a standard legal card that benefited from damage using the stack. So, with Siege Gang Commander, you could block something with your Goblin token, put 1 damage from the Goblin token, get marked on their creature, and then still sacrifice the Goblin before it died to the damage that it was taking. It was really convoluted, and it gave people who understood that niche interaction of the rules an added benefit for just, like, added complexity, basically. It was good complexity to have removed. Alright, we're doing stuff. Doing stuff and things. It basically just added a layer of needless complexity to the game. He's dead, Jim. You've killed him. Gonna go Cleric plus Tocatli here. It might be possible that I'm supposed to stick the Ajani that turn while I don't have blue mana up, because they could, like, counterspell me or something now. I'm having a great day, Kazrek. Thanks for the 11 months. Welcome back. Hope you're having a good start to your weekend. Happy Friday. Yep, like I mentioned, very possible I should have stuck the Ajani the previous turn because of the potential of counter magic. Most of their counter magic doesn't impact 2-mana creatures, whereas like both Negate and Disdainful Stroke impact Ajani. Although I guess that's like one less Negate in their hand to like let us stick this Fall of the Thran. So we got that going for us. Alright, if we hit a land next turn, we get to get him. Why not hit the Crisis? Because I plan to destroy all of their lands, and I don't want them to have an elf after I destroy all of their lands. That's rude. Oh, it doesn't kill my cleric. That's great. Good little. Who's a good little honor guard? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Such a good little honor guard. Yes, you are. They don't need creatures in their graveyard to kill my Remorseful Cleric with this trigger. Hey, the Lord Zuzin. Thank you for the Prime support. There's a lot of great people you can chip that to every month here on Twitch. Thanks for sending it my way. So, do I incubate and let this resolve? I don't think so. I think I'm just supposed to stroke this, right? Because if I draw a land next turn, I get to get their lands. Yeah. Alright, we did the thing. Now we just need to draw spells. We did the thing, we just need to draw spells. That's incredibly frustrating. Yeah, this deck doesn't play Crisis because it's built around a combo that blows up all the lands in play. Also, if this deck was playing Crisis, we wouldn't have drawn it because I wouldn't cut a spell. I'd cut a spell for the Crisis, so like we're losing here because we haven't drawn any spells. Wait, I'm just timing people out. Stop it. The thing you really need to cut yourself of if you wanna learn to tune decks and become a better deck builder is stop with the knee-jerk, I need to make all these changes to a deck because you ran bad. You need to separate yourself from the small sample size anecdotal evidence of, hey, my deck needs major changes because I played a game where I didn't draw any spells. That's just a part of Magic. You can't make a bunch of changes to your deck every time you fail to draw spells or you don't draw enough lands. Like, that's just part of the game. You're gonna lose games where you don't make any meaningful decisions because you just got unlucky. Like, having Hydrate Krasis in my deck that game wouldn't have mattered because instead of drawing Hydrate Krasis, I drew lands. So, like, if Hydrate Krasis was going in this deck, I wouldn't cut lands to play it. I would cut things like Teferis and Ajanis, and I didn't draw those cards. And if I had drawn those cards, we would have been in a fine spot. Drawing a second Growth Chamber Guardian there really sucks. It's like exactly what you don't want to see when you already have one in hand. If they have a lot of flyers, I'm probably going to be in a little bit of trouble. If they want to burn a Collision Colossus this turn, I'm okay with that. No, I don't really want to run Cleansing Nova in my 30 creature deck or 20 creature deck or whatever it is. 20 creatures seems really bad. Our Baffling Ends do not look stellar in the face of Rekindling Phoenix, that's for sure. Baffling End does exile. That's not the problem with it against Rekindling Phoenix. We're losing this race here, unfortunately. Yeah, we can exile the token, we just don't have a way to turn the Phoenix into a token. We don't have any flying blockers. That's true. If they're on Stone Cold Nothing, we're winning by a small margin. I guess if they draw a brick next turn, we have them dead on board, right? So they're not going to be able to attack. And actually, if they draw a brick, they're dead? No, not quite. But they almost certainly have draws that kill us. They have like Shock, Collision Colossus, Lightning Strike. Yep. couple of Conclave Tribunals in my deck. Even though Baffling End wasn't good against Phoenix, I think it's still pretty good in the matchup. This is not a matchup where Fall of the Thran is good. This card's only good for mid-range and control matchups, so we want to just be a little bit more interactive. Play lower to the ground. Captive Grixis is the next deck, so I'd still listen to the stream title, Durka Durka. I don't think this is a Disdainful Stroke matchup. I think I'm just going to submit like this. Slow and steady. Yeah, we peaked at 16 today. We were 27 before we lost the last match, so we slid down 50 spots, which is actually less than I was expecting to slide. I think I have to mulligan this with no white mana, unfortunately. I'm fragging lots of people in chat right now who are making unintelligent card choices, card selections. Please be familiar with the stream rules for how to make useful and helpful card suggestions. Card suggestions are great, but you need to identify a problem, talk about how we're solving that problem. There are infinite permutations of cards that can go into every single deck. There's so many reasonable playable cards in every color. Double Histories on the play is pretty good against their turn 1, turn 2 removal start. I don't really think it is, Big Kitty. Like, again, the thing so many people don't get is, like, when you look at a deck of Magic cards and you ask yourself, how many of these cards are playable in other shells? Like, this deck really, like, it's got a neat idea at the top end to help leverage your fight against mid-range and control decks, but a lot of the other cards in this deck are just playable Magic cards. Hey, that's a good one. Fortunately, I can't attack this turn, but I just want to get this done. Now, I think I'd rather get the Druid into play. That's why I played the Druid first, rather than prioritizing the damage. They're still at 16, so they're still pretty far off. I'm gonna run the no blocks on here. Rip. Let's attack for 4 here. Before we let them know we're going to kill their only things. They have another removal spell. They might be holding it if they think they're going to have this for next turn. Hey, Fail Mine Morn. Thanks for the tier 2 resub for the second month in a row. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Be sure to drop me a message. Let me know which deck that's already in the queue you'd like to bump up. Thanks for that extra level of support. Those are my favorite timeouts, Gabriel Paynes. If you ever get timed out and you're not sure why, I'd encourage you to read the stream rules. We have Collision Colossus on defense here. Willem, thanks for the Prime support. I appreciate it. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me around.
I will defend my ass.
W Fave, thanks for the Prime support. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. Oh, this is so awkward. This Crushing Canopy, if it was just like any other card. So I can like smash for 4. And like they trade, I eat. Yeah, I think I'm supposed to attack for 4 here. Just like give up a 2/2 to put them to 2. Yeah, I boarded in the Canopy as a way to tempo Rekindling Phoenix to be able to like 2-for-1 it. They also likely have Hellkite. It's possible it's a little bit too defensive, though. It's also possible it should just be like a 3rd Conclave Tribunal in the sideboard. Like, if it had been Conclave Tribunal here, we'd have won, right?
I'll make use of that.
Have a land. Wonder what they drew that they didn't just make another token. They must have drawn a threat, right? That's really unfortunate. I guess they're dead in. Well, they're not dead in 2 because the Karn's gonna downtick and get the shock, right? Ajani is lethal here. They're gonna get to activate this as well. Yeah, we're pretty dead. Give it one more shot here. I do not draft. We pretty much only play standard best of 3 for Arena, and every morning we play a Legacy or Modern League on Magic Online to start the day. Mods cannot time themselves out. I am the only one that can frag mods, which we do on occasion when they ask. Life, thanks for the 15-month resub. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Punt actually doesn't time mods out until I do it. For people that are wondering why there's all the timeouts, is we lost a couple of games to running cold, which caused a huge slew of the chat to start recommending a bunch of results-based deck changes without following the rules of the stream. So we started timing people out for not following the rules. Green's the most represented color in my mana base, right? Yeah, by a lot. So Seal Away versus Baffling End. There's two considerations. First is that Baffling End is much better against mono blue. Second is that Baffling End is better when you're an aggressive deck, because Seal Away only gets rid of tapped creatures, which means it can't get rid of creatures that are playing defense.
Do not fear, my friend. Deliver us to victory.
Alright. Alright. Maybe.
You must succeed where I have.
Land would be great. Perfect. So I get to play this. I get to play this.
Stand
I'm
together.
gonna Ajani. Down tick here.
We still need
Put this into play. Maybe I'm supposed to Ajani uptick there. Just so I can, if they Kaya's Wrath me. Yeah, that feels a little bad. Yeah, I'm supposed to uptick that turn so that way I can down tick Ajani after they Kaya's Wrath me. Yeah, I think that's the play.
You are capable
Bit of a mistake on my part.
Right on schedule.
reverse.
Yeah, I think we're dead at this point. So if I would have sequenced the Ajani correctly and not down ticked him the turn I played him, but plussed him and then down ticked him the following turn after the Kaya's Wrath, maybe would have been fine there. Definitely don't want the Baffling Ends here. Tithe Taker's fine. I want all my counter spells. What do I want to cut here? These aren't good enough. I definitely want my Planeswalkers. Need to cut a threat here. Maybe it's just Llanowar Elves. It's probably just Llanowar Elves. Let's do that. In Magic lingo, we describe a deck as degenerate if it's a combo deck that's not trying to interact with its opponent, generally speaking. So in this current standard format, an example of a deck that we would refer to as degenerate would be the Nexus of Fate Wilderness Reclamation decks. If I play the Fall of the Thran that turn instead of the Ajani Cleric, my opponent gets 2 of their lands back. Because the lands come back at the start of the turn. I don't have any opinions on free-to-play stuff. It's not something that I've worked on at all. No, TDM. That's why I didn't describe it as such. Hey, Statistic, thanks for the 13 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, broken refers to power level of cards, like cards that end up getting banned based on power level we would refer to as broken, whereas degenerate refers to the type of strategy that a deck is trying to execute. Again, referencing combo decks specifically in regards to Magic the Gathering. Decks like Nexus of Fate and Wilderness Reclamation. I timed you out for saying that because it's objectively false, Ozar. You've played literally 2 fall decks on stream. This is the second one in the last you know, ever. So, like, two is not many by any definition of the word that I've ever heard of. Maybe 2 is your definition of many. But not for any definition of many I'm familiar with. Especially in proportion to the number of decks that we play on stream. Wants a blue source, but it's pretty reasonable otherwise. Is fall too cute? I have no idea. That's why we're playing games of Magic the Gathering. If I had the answer without playing games, I wouldn't need to do my job. You know, I don't think what problem are you solving by adding those cards to the deck? Why is it worth adding those cards in? So looking to draw a land in the next 2 turns. That way we can curve Growth Chamber into Ajani here. Perfect. So let's go ahead and attack for 1. We'll play this out. And Growth Chamber Guardian's the type of card that, like, encourages them to kill it right away, because otherwise it finds friends. So if they tap out to kill this, I'll get to play Ajani and buy back Tithe Taker probably. Land. Oh, yeah. All right, now we're cooking with gas.
We need to move quickly.
All right, let's draw a land. If we draw a land, we get to Armageddon. Rats! We're so unlucky. I guess we try and draw a land still just to tempo. Sweet. Yeah, so we do this. Just tempo fall. Ha-ha! Got him. Look at that. Look at that. We did the thing. We locked it up. And we took the game and we dunked it. Puppy! Get in, baby, get in, baby, get in. Is there anything on 2 mana that kills Teferi? Not Nesper. Assassin's Trophy would be the only one. And again, I understand that Fall of the Thran is not good against aggro. But in the mid-range of the control matchup, I think it can dunk a game where we're a little bit ahead and keep us ahead in a way like we just saw. This sounds fine. Satan's Cheese. Thank you for the Prime support. I appreciate that. Welcome. Thanks for keeping me around. Is this mono blue? It's mono blue. Okay, so this is a place where fall is not good because they're an aggro deck. Oh no! Oh no! Killing their islands is good against Tempest. You are not, you're technically correct. I'm supposed to attack there for one. The rule you violated, J-Free TV, because apparently your reading comprehension is off, is that you posted a card suggestion without providing a reasonable format for suggesting why it should be that way. So you said, hey, play this magic card, and you didn't say, this is why you should play this magic card. What value does that magic card add to the deck that we're playing? Why is it a card that should be in my deck? What problem does my deck have that card solves? And there is very much an example of that in the rules. In fact, it even shows you an example of how to make good suggestions. Gazni, thanks for the Prime support. I appreciate that. There's just so many magic cards that fit into every shell, and if every stream is just everybody shouting out every card that could possibly fit into our deck, it's like, well, it's hard to, like, get reasonable suggestions in there. I didn't get the Guardian because they Merfolk Trickster to remove the text from it. Scary Terry means I'm dead next turn, right? Yeah, Scary Terry means we're exactly dead. I thought we were gonna maybe be able to race here. Saying, why aren't you playing this, is the same as saying, hey, you should play it. Because if you don't think we should be playing it, why are you asking why we're not playing it? That's the same thing. Yeah, just couldn't beat Terramander here. It always amazes me when I go to timeout people who ask questions like, what card is in this deck, like, that have been following the channel for like a year and a half or like 2 years. It's like, y'all know there's a deck list on the screen. Y'all have been here. I have a thing that says you've been here for 2 years right there. You know where the deck list is at. I think I want Spell Pierce. Teferi's a little bit too expensive at the top end. Want my extra removal spells. I think Ajani's fine because he adds pressure to the table and like picks my 2-drops like my Cleric back up after they block. That seems fine. Probably bots. That game was really close up until they hit the Terramander. I think if they hadn't hit Terramander there, Tempest we might have even been able to beat on the back of Fall of the Thran. But if they hadn't hit a threat to put Lethal on board there, we probably would have killed them over 2 turns while they were killing us over 2 to 3. Did you Ajani Terry so they can't adapt it? No, they just would do their thing in response. Gosh, this hand is so good if these lands were untapped. One of these lands was untapped. This hand's also reasonable because it has an untapped land. I'm gonna upkeep diddle my thing. Tithe Taker. Tithe Taker's really good in this matchup. Makes it hard for them to interact on our turn. Sweet. So we can play Growth Chamber Guardian here, and then Conclave Tribunal this Tempest in. And then next turn we can start activating Growth Chamber Guardians, maybe. Hopefully we draw land so we can, like, activate Growth Chamber Guardian plus play Incubation Druid. Get a little bit further out ahead. It depends on how aggressive they're going to be here. We're looking to dodge more copies of Tempest at this point. Oh, Surge Mare is very good, too. Oh, that's a good one. And they can't protect their Surge Mare because Tithe Taker's in play. So a couple people were asking earlier about Baffling End versus Seal Away. This turn's a good example of the difference. Baffling End is very good at pulling blockers out of the way. And our deck has a slightly aggressive slant, so I don't think there's any really good Naya decks in this format, no. As far as aggressive decks are concerned, Naya tends to be worse than the 1 or 2 color decks. And then as far as mid-range and control decks are concerned, not having counter spells or discard spells in this format means your deck leaves a lot to be desired. I'm gonna go ahead and block here and deny them drawing a card, I think. I don't think I really need this that much. I'm gonna go ahead and do this now. And then I'm going to decline attacking with this Tithe Taker, because next turn if my opponent has another Merfolk Trickster and they want to tap this down, I'd prefer I have a blocker so they don't get to draw a card with the Curious Obsession. They scry to top. Please don't sleep me. Temptation, yep. A little scary, but not the end of the world. I wonder if we're going to see Curious Mission fall off here. Yep. I have a knife down here. Smells like it. So if they attack me for 6 in the air, I'm attacking for 9 on the backswing on the ground. I need to not draw another Tempest in here. Spell Pierce is an okay draw. Let's go ahead and start by adapting this. I feel normal. The normal one feels fine. I actually have both, Johnny Boy. I actually have one of each, and I think the normal one is more than reasonable. Feels plenty sturdy. Yeah, Growth Chamber Guardian's a really sweet 2-drop, for sure. I did to Merfolk Trickster. I'm super dead to Merfolk Trickster. At the end of my turn. They're obviously not drawing it for the turn, but if they would have hit Merfolk Trickster at the end of the turn, would have died. Great, and now we're dead to any other blocker. Unless I draw a removal spell, of course. Close game. Sweet. Alright. Game the third. Two really close games in a row. It's like pretty thin margins overall. I think I'm happy with how I sideboarded. Yeah, I'll turn it back. Maybe 1 or 2 Teferi are better than 1 or 2 Ajani, just because they can tuck Temptation in. But he is kind of expensive. 5 mana removal is clunky in this matchup for sure. This seems very reasonable. It's got turn 2 Baffling End, turn 3 History of Benalia. Yeah, Spell Pierce was definitely a good pickup. And now, if they have the Obsession here, like they paused to think about Spell Pierce last turn. So if they have the Obsession here, next turn I get to play a land. They did have the Obsession, and we could have bluffed them off it even if we didn't have it. So now on our next turn, I'm going to get to go land and Baffling End plus Spell Pierce. So even if they have protection here, they're going to lose their Siren Storm Tamer, which they do not, it looks like. I almost wish they would have had a thing there, so that way I could have gotten value out of my Spell Pierce. Really want to draw it as a removal spell here. Probably going to lose this race now. I guess Growth Chamber Guardian plus History both get pretty big pretty quick. Spell Pierce does mean that if I eventually find... no, it doesn't even mean if I find a removal spell. I can win because they have Siren Storm Tamer going on. Storm Tamer's a big deal. We're dead in 3 in the air. Yeah, probably just dead. We have another Jin. King Jester, thanks for the 10 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yep, just not interactive enough. So, either got to be more linear than this or more interactive than this to be successful against mono blue, and we just were unable to do either. Thanks for the 10 months, Jester. Welcome back. All right. Honestly, this core is kind of interesting if Fall of the Thran is, it was good against Esper. I'd imagine it's good against Sultai when we managed to draw spells. This card, based on how aggressive the format is, especially on the ladder, card's probably better relegated to the sideboard if we wanted to play a couple copies of it rather than being good in the main deck, because this card is bad against aggressive strategies. So it's just not good against mono blue. It's not good against red aggro, Gruul, stuff like that. So I think if you wanted to play this card as kind of a you're ahead, lock the game up against mid-range and control, it could probably be reasonable, because like things like Remorseful Cleric and Teferi are obviously like very reasonable and synergized with this. But as far as a main deck card goes, this is definitely just like not a reasonable main deck card in this format, I don't think. Cost us some rank, but we can always get that back later, so let's roll